Oh, we're back in the room. And let me get my script back where it should be. There it is. So let's go to a place where the distractions are landmarks and the detours are on the main road. Welcome to ADHDville. Oh, yes, we have a guest. His name is Willy Dubs. He's in the room with his guitar. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see loads of books behind him. But there's a secret about the books, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
It's beautiful.
Hi, my name's Martin West. I was officially diagnosed with the combined ADHD poo-poo platter in 2013 and strongly suspected autistic. And I am here with Willy Dubs. Hey, how you doing?
Hello. I am well. How about yourself?
I am. We did an episode.
Mm-hmm.
I looked back. Episode 18.
Episode 18, yeah.
In February 2024.
Where I yelled like a madman for about an hour, and yeah, that was pretty early in the discovery of the whole how the mind works. So even just to see the trend, the difference in the short period of time, it'll tell you a little bit of something about what we're going to talk about today with my
right. So if you haven't caught that episode, after this one, go back in time, episode 18, and if you're wondering where Paul is, he's taken a summer vacation.
Oh,
so
I was hoping I miss Paul. I don't see Paul ever on the old TikToks and stuff. It's always your mug.
It's just me banging away again.
Yep.
I know.
Well, that's good. You're the one keeping at it. That's what. Listen, I think I've had 3 podcasts, and they're all. I'm so proud of you. Still going. I mean, for me to even be back on an ADHD podcast for a second time is incredible. This might be a record for all ADHD podcasts.
I know it's not always easy to kind of start projects and finish projects, but you have.
I have.
You have finished a book that is just released. Oh, look, there it is on camera with real pages. Look at it. And a photo of you.
Oh, you want to see you got to show you the author photo because I chose this special. This is a special.
I did, yes. So if anyone's listening on the audio podcast, it's Willy Dubs. What is it? 1980 version. What is it?
Something like that. There's a rat tail prominent in the photo. This is a picture of a kid that will light your garage on fire. Just to see how fire works, and then feel terrible for letting your garage on fire, and try to put it out, and accidentally make the fire worse trying to put it out. That was that kid. That was my entire life. I was just like, oh my God, here's a stupid decision I can make. Let's try it out, feel terrible for it, and try to fix it later. That was me.
Man. Yeah. Right, yeah, because actually, like personal stories, they come up a lot in your book. I think it's like chapter 3, I think, was like kind of, where you kind of go quite deep into your own personal experiences.
In the book, I mean, I use my it's not like a memoir. I mean, there's some dark stuff in here, some really deep, very personal stories, and I like to use humor to kind of make it a little easier to listen to, because I mean, there's childhood sexual abuse talk. There's, I talk about a lot of violence. I lived a very violent life, not something I'm proud of, but something I don't shy away from,
right?
Because that stuff is in there, right? And you can't, once it's in there, you can't take it out. And that's kind of the idea of the book. And then when I use these examples of like what this trauma did to me, it's more like, see, this is the code that was put onto my already divergent code, and then there's another guy under that who's the real guy. And now you've got this trauma on top of divergent hardware, on top of the person underneath, because the whole thing is a collage, and you can't. Traditional therapy says, oh, we got to get rid of these things, right? We got to get rid of the trauma thoughts. You got to, but
Right.
you can't. It's, and in the book I say, it's like you can't, it's like trying to get the ingredients after you've already baked the cake. You don't know where they start, where they're, you just have cake now. Now you can choose what to do with that cake, and make that cake better, but you have a cake. Stop trying to take this trauma out, because what it has created is a hypervigilance that is a recognition, a threat response recognition that is almost supernatural in this current environment. Why are we not using these things instead of punishing them? Because if there is anything that this system needs more, it's adapting, right? It needs to adapt. It's brittle, it's stagnant, it's collapsing. And we have these minds like ours, and I'll get into what I mean by neurodivergent and neurotypical, because I don't call it that anymore. I've come up with, I think, far better terms. And when you read the book and you read those terms, you realize that it just feels different when you say them. When I say that I'm a recursive thinker, or not a divergent thinker, it's still telling you that there's a difference in the hardware, but it's not pathologizing it. When we look at, like, okay, so the words neurotypical and neurodivergent, right?
Yeah.
First off, if I was a neurotypical person and you called me typical or normal, what is going to happen? I'm going to take offense to that, right?
Right.
Because that's not good. But we've put both of the sides against each other, clinging to this version of normal versus divergent.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go back to, like, if you look at how, like, hunter-gatherer communities would have worked, you have people, sequential thinkers, the neurotypical, sequential thinkers, A, B, C, done. They maintain the village, keep things going. They're very important people.
Oh, right.
And there needs to be more of them, because the 20%, let's say, we're saying 80-20, because I think that's where we stand right now, average. The 20% are the recursive thinkers, right? They debug, they fix this. They look for new threats. They look for weather changes. They look for the new plants to eat. They look for using multivariable step analysis that this thinker can't do. And thank God they can't, because they would be distracted. They have to have blind spots. We see their blind spots. And the system we work in right now, it's a sequential system. Everything has been built from school to everything. A school is a factory. There's a book, my chapter is the Kid Factory. A school is made like a factory. I mean, we're creating a system of sequential. Yeah. And we're wondering why these recursive people can't fit, because every time I say something's going to break, and they say, you're being negative. Oh, don't just stop whining about that. You're being negative. You just don't want to work hard. No. I can see this pattern. It's going to break. And then 2 weeks later, it breaks just like I said it was going to. And I'm still wrong for saying I told you so.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think, like, this is, I think, you can tell just from this, piece of conversation, that this is not like an ADHD stroke autism book that focuses on life hacks, productivity, meds, executive function, all of that stuff. You spend much more time asking, what if, as you said, what if we've misunderstood the architecture of thinking itself? It's almost philosophy wrapped up inside an autobiography. It's as you say, you're kind of saying, it feels like the system itself is wrong. That we are not this sort of broken weird sideshow characters. But we are actually, an essential part of what makes a community a community. as you say.
Exactly. We're looking at we're calling something difference in a negative way, right? And that is like that is where we've gone wrong. There's just been always been, and I know this is oversimplifying. People have given me trouble for, oh, you're oversimplifying things. It's just two categories. My goal here is not to make more categories. I think we have more than enough categories. What I'm saying is that within this recursive thinker category, there's many different presentations, but it's like computers, you know, like you can buy 20 different Acers, 20 different Asuses, all different Windows computers, and they have different functions, different memory, different, you know, camera features. They're just different parts of the computer that works a certain way, you know. And then you got your Apple products that are a completely different operating system, but again, there's different levels of operating system with different memory, different features, different strengths of each computer, right? And I use computers because it fits. I have people like, well, you always talk about like we're computers, algorithms, blah blah blah. Well, because it fits. We made computers. We made them after us. It's not. We are the makers of the things here. So yes, they're going to look like us, right? And I just think it fits best as an analogy for how our brains work, because when you break everything down, it kind of goes into those categories, right? And I just want my whole point of this book was just to make people look at this differently, right? I didn't want to say the things. I got some trouble. I did, Martin. I've gotten some trouble from I've been called ableist from some of the chapters. And I in every moment of writing this book, I made sure I kept all of the other diversities, all of the other disabilities in the room with me. You know, when I wrote this, and I tried to keep them in mind, because this book is not just for me and the people like me. I think the people like me and like you and the people out there with this combined ADHD autism trait, the combination, because you have two different processing systems that are going at each other, and this is what recursion is, right? I mean, you have more of an observer time in here. That's what is slowing us down in the world. We just have more options to go through.
Yeah.
It's like when you say ADHD is a deficit of attention, I say, shut up. It's not.
Exactly.
It's actually more like total awareness. And we have a lot more shit to go through. I wish that I had some of the sequential thinkers' abilities, you know, to follow through on things, to do like things like, I wish I had that. But as soon as my idea is done, it's done. It's not mine anymore. I'm on to the next idea, making the next thing work.
Right.
I don't want to keep going.
I keep thinking we would be so much better if we had staff like I wouldn't even say staff. Let me just say partners, sequential thinking partners.
We do, Martin.
And that was the world, which is what you're kind of saying. It's like, well, this should be the world, right? Is that you can have a thought, an idea that you've, you know, looked at the patterns in the world and gone, oh, well, I can see a problem here. I can see a problem down the line. I can see how we could fix it. I can't do that myself, but hey, you guys over there, you do that. You know, and both have equal value because one can't exist without the other.
Well, this is one of the in the Misfits, the book is the biggest. One of the hardest parts for me to release these books, one of the hardest things for me is because, you know, I'm a grade 8, educated person. I formally, right? I got kicked out of every school I ever went to. I was one of those kids. I was one of the bad kids. Right. And, you know, I never felt like I was allowed to say these things, you know, and I realized after I quit drinking at 41, 8 years ago now, And I was stagnant for my entire life. I understand apathy and stagnation. I don't ever criticize people for not thinking. We have to start doing it, but I get it because I was drunk for 25 years of my life, and that was my life, right?
Right.
But at 41, finding out I had ADHD and autism at 43, I realized, whoa, my brain is not working like this. It's working different. I have to start using it. So I've always been a writer. So I took to every morning kind of, writing my 2 hours. I spent 2 hours with my coffee and just kind of wrote my feelings out and what I was dealing with and how my mind was working. So for those 8 years that I was, sitting there and trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because when you're diagnosed in your 40s with these things, you realize that you haven't really been yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people, you probably understand this very well. Most of the people in your life have no idea who you are.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No idea.
I mean, like if someone, and it still happens now. If someone says, "Well, what do you want?" I'm like, I have no idea. Like you're asking me like what I want and not what I can do for you or do something. Like I have to sit there, and even now I have to sit there and process that simple question. It's
yeah. I mean, I remember from the very young, like 5 years old, young, like kindergarten young, having to act like somebody else, because when I was myself, I was in trouble. That was it. That was me. I was not in class anymore. I was sitting in the corner with the dunce cap on, that's what was going to happen. So I had to be someone else. And you don't realize what all this stuff does to you. And I think like we have so much inherited code, right? From our parents, from our environment, from our ancestors, stuff from caveman days that hijack board meeting arguments and bedtime, arguments and stuff. We are activating things in our body, like codes that we run automatically. And I that's why I go into thinking of this book a lot more into like, what is a thought? Can you answer that, Martin? What is a thought?
Nope. That's why I have you here to tell me. so that you can do the thinking and the thoughts for me.
I'll help you with it. Okay, here's my best, because this is not an easy question, because thoughts are complicated, right? Thoughts are not just the thing you do. Like, okay, so here's my best attempt at explaining what a thought is. A thought is an external stimuli that could be anything: light, sound, blah, blah, anything, pinging off your past. Right. And your past is just firing off the closest recognized pattern it has in there.
Yeah.
It goes through your meat computer into the projected future. Right. Who you want to be. Right. And then swings back to the present. And then it activates that you.
Right.
And then this is the weird part. Right.
Okay.
About 400 milliseconds later, the conscious you, the one you call you, labels that and tells you the story behind why you did it.
Right.
But that's already happened.
Yeah.
Your conscious self is just telling the story of your loop, your identity, the loop you practice most.
Yeah.
Right? It's just telling that story over and over again. So when you look at free will doesn't happen like we think it does. Doesn't happen here because it's too late here.
Yes.
You have to keep adding yous to the front line with that, and that happens in reflection, because catching yourself when you're fired up and your chemicals are firing in your body, and especially with ADHD and autism, those they run hot, they blow. You're not going to catch yourself there. Stop trying to. Instead of catching yourself there, just look at it after and say, why did I do that? This book came out. I wrote this book first, The Misfits, right? And then I put out Thinking About Thinking and Thoughts Out Loud.
Right.
Because in this book I had something called recursion iteration therapy. And I took that out because I, again, didn't feel like I was allowed to call something a therapy. Right.
Right.
But I'm not a doctor. This is what I've done to help myself, and it has worked for me. I want people to understand that. And when I say therapy, I am not saying in place of therapy. The first thing this book will not help you if you are not in the place for it to help you. The strongest thing you could do is reach out for help. Anything, you cannot do this alone. This is not something you do alone. If you are too fragile, if looking at your patterns, it causes too much stress, that's okay. You need help. Reach out for it. Come back to the book later. I don't want you to think this book is going to help you. This is not a self-help book. This is a help yourself book.
Exactly.
This is meant for you to learn how you work, right? And then you do with that what you want. And when I talk about recursive iteration therapy, what makes humans the apex animal on the planet is our ability to, one, look at ourselves and imagine. We can live a thing before we actually live it and learn from it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So recursive iteration therapy is basically that. And I say in the book, it's only 3 steps. And you're like, come on, 3 steps? Fuck off. It's got to be harder than that. You can't just, this is going to work. You think I can write on a napkin? Yes. Because it just means see it, feel it, and then rerun it. I know that sounds so simple, but it's not, because to imagine properly, to lay down actual track that your story buys, that your body buys,
right,
is very difficult. You have to know yourself. You have to look at all that shit, all that stuff that you're ashamed of. And you have to look at that and say, that's not, shame and guilt are not the same thing. Shame says you're bad. You're bad. Guilt says you've done something bad that is against your moral code.
Right.
Which tells you right there that you are not bad. It's against your code. So when you start looking back at your past as things that you did to survive, you're not looking at bad versions of you. You're looking at bad processes you ran in the past. We are process, man. We are not nouns. We are verbs. We our bodies, this scar on my hand, it keeps being remade by my body. It makes new skin, brand new skin all the time.
Right.
But why does it keep making this scar?
No, exactly. I think, one of my things is one of the biggest tools for me in the tool shed of being in the survival toolbox is curiosity. And that plugs into exactly what you're saying, is that you can see something, experience it, go through it, but then you've got to be curious as to what happened, how it affected you. Was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? What was that? So that then you can learn something from that and then move on.
What you're explaining is metacognition, right? You have to be able to look at yourself.
Yeah.
And this, me, I like to get in trouble a lot. I'm going to say something that is, it has gotten me into a little bit of trouble on TikTok. But it's not, when I say it, I'm very well, I have it written down very well. I've well worded. And it's not against anyone in any group. We are looking at, I believe, I've made some videos about these right-wing conservative nut jobs that are out there, right? And there's a psychology behind it, right? And I've read the psychology because, interacting, I've been legitimately trying to connect with them because I want to try to understand what is happening. I believe we're looking at vulnerable people and not just bad people. We have, I think we're looking at a little bit less narrow-minded, angry human and more like terrified chimpanzee. You know what I mean? Because humans are evolving, right? And animals do that. We're evolving, humans.
I mean, a Trumpanzee?
The Trumpanzees.
Am I allowed to say that?
I don't know, but we did. But so and people are like, oh, what are you saying? Oh, yeah, I think we just saw Sapiens end. You know what I mean? I think we have been going in this direction, and it's going to happen in here, not out here. Gorillas have us beat here every single time, right? We're not going this way. We're going this way, and the ability to think about your thinking becomes the strongest tool a human has.
Right.
And if you are mastering this, you are developing. If you are sitting in a small town believing a science religion that has been disproven many times over, not even accepting that science, well, how are you going to, what happens? You know where science is right now, right, Martin? In general, science is it's at a crazy place. And the next breakthrough in science, any of the sciences, because they're at the what the heck point in all science. And when that breakthrough happens, and it doesn't just give us more information. It gives us access to new physics,
right?
New reality. Because at the point we're at, it changes things completely. And where I think it's going to go is in consciousness studies, in the study of like consciousness as the foundation, and it being the thing that makes material. That's where most scientists are looking right now. And if that becomes true, and I'm going to tell you, it makes sense because those little small communities of wackadoodle, hardcore Christians that somehow are succeeding in life. Somehow. Well, just think of it as if you have a group of people that are putting that forward with absolute belief, whether it's misguided belief or not, they are creating a reality that's working for them.
Right. Yeah. No,
based on something that's magical to us. It's nuts. But it's working in most cases.
Yeah.
So they are kind of accidentally already doing this. But when we develop science that tells us, all we need is 20% of the people then to go, oh, I want this to be a better place, and start thinking about it that way. And it starts the wave. The wave is coming. It's already happening. And
it's interesting. Sorry, that you're kind of talking about consciousness, being a frontier, because obviously, our brain is so poorly understood, and I find it interesting, and I talk about this with Paul. He talks about it. He believes, and I'm kind of with him, that this autism and ADHD thing will be dismantled at some point and reconstituted as something else.
Yeah, I agree.
As we understand our brains better, and how we process and how we work in the world, and our ADHDville podcast name will have to change, and who knows. And so there's all of that.
Yeah, I agree. This is another place where I actually get in trouble, right? Because I say it, and I know I'd say it out loud, because I do believe that there is something to the combination of the two. I do believe that, if you look at what nature does to genes that are defective or not beneficial, they eliminate them, right? That's how nature works. But the ADHD and autism is becoming more prevalent. It's becoming more, it's more seen.
Right.
So that would mean that there's a definite reason that our human biology is going in that direction. This is not me saying we're superior. Listen, we are humans. We are animals. We adapt. Humans are evolving too. I'm sorry that if you don't have ADHD and autism, you didn't win the race for evolution. But trust me, you don't want it right now. It's not helping anybody. We have to change this world, and this is where I could be misheard, and this is why I try to be very clear. I don't think we are superior. I think we are missing in the mix. We are needed. It's different, right? It's not saying we're better. It's saying we're running on a world that isn't including us because it's all sequential. It needs recursion to fix this shit because we are the people that see this.
Yep.
I walk around the streets and I don't know how people look away anymore. How do you look away from people dying on the streets? Yes, and I get in trouble, and again, I get in trouble for this too. Oh, we all have justice sensitivity. Oh, no, it's not just you. Oh, shut up. First of all, I'm not saying and everyone doesn't. It's our ability to let it go without losing our reserves of energy. That's the difference. We have to focus on it because it's broken. We want to fix it.
Right. Because, one of your points in your book is certainly around when you talk about the water is that it's not us that's broken. We should look at the environment and the whole package, and this is where this recursive and systems thinking kind of comes into place, right? It seems like that what you're kind of saying that it's not an individual problem. Like we're very good at kind of going, oh, you autistic, you ADHD, but actually it's a like when you step back, there is, and once you fix yourself, I say fix yourself. once you've looked at yourself and you've kind of gone, okay, as you were saying earlier, and you've kind of got yourself into a place where you vaguely understand yourself a lot better, and then you do that step back and go, okay, well, the environment and the things around me and the systems that we have in place and the schools and everything, you go, it's all wrong.
Yeah.
It's all wrong.
Well, you look at a school. What is the first thing you have to do as a little kid? Sit down and be quiet? What? No, right. I'm a kid. Did you forget that I was a kid? That's not how I do things yet.
Right.
And look, there are actual historians that look at our school system and argue that it is built like a factory. You look at what happens. You go to school. You're told what to learn, how to learn it, when to learn it, what the timeline is. You start your what you're told to do. A bell rings. You're told you have to stop thinking about what you're thinking about. Go out and do a different thing. And then when you're summoned back by the other bell, you come back to your spot and do the thing you were doing. Somehow just get back into it magically. Right. And then the process continues. Everybody learns at the same timeline. No, we don't. We know that I have many friends, especially on the spectrum, and ADHD obviously as well, that have learning problems younger. Right. And a lot of this is looked at as slow. It's too slow. But during this process of learning, they're learning anyway. You're learning whether you're getting the grades through grade 1 or 6, whether you're passing. You're still learning. And then all of a sudden, at a certain age, click. All that information comes together. And then that person is no longer slow for some reason.
Right.
The story is almost every person that has this I was slow in school story has this amazing recovery in their teenage years when it all snaps together and they understand it.
Right. I mean, it's even I didn't like math. I was bad at math.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one teacher, Mr. Mitchell, and he came in and all of a sudden, because of his teaching method or something,
mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I get it now. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm into this. And then he gets replaced by some other old duffer, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm back to like switched off, and I can't do math.
I in my book and on my like whatever those Substacks are, I put a lot of articles up there, more detailed versions of like scale. Scale is something I created that is like a replacement for our current school system or education system.
Right.
And it's learning based on strengths, right? And if you had to make just one change in school, and this is very easy to do, and it would change everything. Start with what each kid likes. You need to teach teachers to find their thing. And that's what that kid learns first. I'm not saying he doesn't have to learn the other things. The person has to learn something they are passionate about and care about first, so that they learn to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
They learn how to do it, to get something right. When you push someone to learn something they don't want to learn at the beginning because you have to go with the rest of the curriculum of the class, and it's not something they're interested in, they're taught that they fail. And that in a little kid is a big algorithm put on you, a big code that you're a failure right off the bat. You change that one story and just get kids interested first. Give them something to learn that they actually care about. Teach them to succeed. And that changes the rest of their life in school. But we are unwilling to be individual. There are versions of this that rich people can access, you know.
I will say that, like just kind of talking for people around the world, like here in the States, I have one friend who works in the education system and looks at it through a neurodivergent lens, and you can see that some schools, at least, are kind of like seem to be like really trying to kind of, within the structure that they're given, they're trying to kind of find ways to kind of make it easier, but still far from ideal, as we know. And then you go to like, Paul lives in Italy. They've not even heard of ADHD or like it isn't a thing. So their entire structure and system is just ignorant of it. They'll say, we don't have ADHD in our school.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of kids failing.
Yes, we have a bunch of kids who misbehave in class and set fire to.
We haven't named it yet, though, so it's not real. Yes. We haven't named it yet. This is, and then when you look at like even like where we are, in the UK, PDA is recognized, right? The traits within PDA, and when I rewrote the Misfits into Thinking About Thinking, I took out the PDA chapter. The PDA chapter, I thought, that there wasn't enough information on PDA because it's not accepted everywhere. I mean, doing research for this, as someone with PDA, I don't know if you suffer with
so that's feeling. Pathological demand avoidance, like where someone says, "Oh, this film is amazing. You'll really love watching this film," and you never see the film.
Never watch it because you just can't. But I mean, that is one great example of it that everyone experience. A lot of people experience, right? But it goes deeper than that, and even the name pathological demand avoidance has sort of been like thrown out the window, and it's sort of like persistent drive for autonomy, which is more accurate. Right. I would say it's still not exactly right. I do believe it is persistent because it always happens. I do believe it is the target of the attack is autonomy, the thing that you're protecting. But the word drive makes it seem like you're doing it, right? And the reason I put PDA back into this book is it's the biggest example of that observer split, right? Because if you look at as someone with the experience of PDA on a daily basis, it's you want to, the you, the conscious you, really wants to. But you're too late to the microphone because the body is firing off no.
Yep.
And you can't, you're just trying. You're like, why am I doing this? This doesn't even make sense. I want to do this. You're talking to yourself like that. You know,
Right.
it's the experience is like having another you in there. And it's not a different you, it's a different process running, right? And this process has to be looked at. That's why I disagree with pathological, because there's nothing pathological about this. What this is your defenses, your chemicals in your body firing off because your autonomy was always taken away from you as a child. Because imagine like you are a baby coming out of your mom's vagina for the first
Yikes.
time. Yeah, right. Yuck. It's awful out here. And the first thing your light sensitive eyes see are these fluorescent lights.
Mhm.
And what does that do to the baby's system? Because light sensitivity is there. It's in our brains. It's a wiring, right? So we're right off the bat we're screaming. The lights are too
Turn
bright.
the fucking lights off.
What if you're already going right? Just right off the bat, and then you go home, and all these things you have no voice because you don't have one yet. You're picking up all these algorithms, all these habits, all these things from your parents. You don't want to be picked up. You're an autistic kid that doesn't want to be picked up, who's picked up all the time because you can't say no. Oh, why is he screaming? Oh, I'm trying to be loving. Because maybe he doesn't want to be touched right now. But there's no way to portray that. So your autonomy is taken away. Your body is building these defenses.
Right.
And this is going to sound ridiculous, but I have a solution for PDA, and at least it works for some people.
I'm listening.
It works very well for me in my case. What you need to do is sit down with your partner or your friends or anyone you have around you that you want to know this.
Uh-huh.
And you say, listen, I suffer with something. I have a challenge. When you put a demand on me, my body is going to treat it like a threat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with my body most of the time. It's just going to do that. And what I need you to do as my loved one, and this is going to sound crazy, but I need you to make fun of the PDA trait. I'm not saying to roast your loved one. Partner with your loved one against the trait. It changes everything.
Right.
What you'll do is laugh with them.
Right.
And you'll feel like an idiot. You'll say, what a stupid thing I'm doing.
There's this thing, isn't there? Like, you know, because what happened is that, you know, someone suggests that you'll love this film, right? And then you go, no, I'm not going to love it. So it puts you in conflict with the other person now. But one of the best things you can do about that is having a common enemy, right?
Yeah.
So your PDA, your pathological demand avoidance, then if you externalize it, as you're saying, that becomes the common enemy, because it doesn't serve either of you, because one person wants you to see the film so that you can talk.
And you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it.
Probably love it anyway.
Because this person probably knows you, right? So they're telling you you're going to love it. But you can't get yourself to do it because your body is saying no because that person told you to do it.
Right.
You know, and it's maybe even too late after that's happened to even see the film. Right? But until you eventually one day go like, oh, I'll put it in, and then you decide to just do it.
Oh yeah, after everyone's forgotten about it, then you'd be like, okay,
well, it's on here. Let's watch it. Oh, that was a great movie. You'll call up and say, you're right. You know, it's because
fucking Christ,
we're very aware most of the time that our response to this is ridiculous. We're aware of it,
right? Because I think part of it is at some point you realize that that when something comes from yourself, when like whatever it is, like a sort of a way of being or behaving or anything, if you realize that it comes from you, or when it comes from you, it's much more likely to stick. So, I mean, just a simple example: if I go down in the morning and I drink a glass of water first thing, and I found that kind of works, and it's come from me. It was my idea.
Mhm.
It was much more likely to stick and work than if someone says, "You know what you should do, Martin? You should have a drink of water first thing in the morning." And I'm like, "Oh fuck! You've
Fuck off.
ruined it! You've ruined it!"
Yeah, right? Don't tell me to do it. I'm not going to do it now.
Right. So we've kind of learned that actually, when we trust ourselves and we listen to ourselves and what works for us, it works.
Yeah.
It works, and yeah, that's that.
I don't know about you, but I'm very deep into meditation. I meditate more than I am in the real world probably now. I walk for 4 hours a day and I just meditate. And I've reached places that I have different understanding of things now. It sounds crazy sometimes when I say things. And the book I'm writing now is a big difference. I'm writing a new book about. So I do have a book about consciousness. It's called Becoming What You've Always Been.
Right.
And I wrote this book. I put all the books together when my mother was dying of pancreatic cancer, which was honestly, I thought I was going to be terrible at taking care of her. I didn't think I was that person. And this is one of those things where I think autism truly became a superpower for me. I was able to be there. I was able to be strong. I was always able to be there to take care of my mom in a way that I didn't think I was even capable of doing. Right.
Right.
And this all started. All the books kind of came together because I watched my mom. Pancreatic cancer is awful to see. And I took care of my mom for a year, and you are watching the death process at an accelerated rate. And it changes your perspective of death, right? And it changes how you look at things. And I know this consciousness sounds like a different topic than ADHD and autism, but this is what I don't think it is. I think we have the space in here for this recursive thought that is what produces this consciousness. And when you meditate and use this, I feel energy running through my body. I feel it. I've trained my brain to recognize different things. And sitting with your loved one and watching them die from this horrible disease and seeing death and fast forward. One of the things that I really saw was my mom's mask come off.
Right.
The mom.
Mm-hmm.
And show her real. My mom wasn't diagnosed autistic, but she certainly was ADHD and autistic. There's no doubt in my mind. I watched her mask come off, and I got to see her for the first time. And I got to spend a few months with the real person.
Right.
And the amount of me that I saw.
Wow.
How much of her is what made this person that was capable of caring like this, that was capable of being this strong. I saw those patterns that she gave me before the words came, and
that's amazing.
It made me look at myself differently. And that's when I started writing these books about thinking, right? And the reason I wrote a book about consciousness is because my mom isn't religious, right? My family has never been a religious family, but my mom was also the kindest, most generous human on the planet. I've never seen her mad at anyone. So, obviously you don't need religion for that. So I asked her and my uncle, her brother, my Uncle Harold, I said, what do you think happens when you die? And my uncle, he's been thinking about it all his entire life, definitely also an old autistic guy. He said, I think we go into our dreams. And I thought, I can work with that. My mom liked it. So I took that idea. And when you look at what a dream is, it's a substrate of consciousness, right? It's not, we call them dreams, but if you apply science, physics, and, any available science, quantum physics to it, biology, all the things that tell the story of what this is in here, that actually works out very well as an explanation for an afterlife. You don't go to hell or heaven, you become them, right? Because you are, and the idea is the God paradox, right? Because if God is all knowing, all powerful, has everything, knows everything, then it would have nothing to perceive, right? And that makes you might as well be nothing.
Yeah.
So it must disperse into everything. Everything, not us. We are not just God. God is everything.
Yeah.
We have never added anything or taken anything away from this planet. There are atoms in your brain from billions of years ago.
Yep.
We are a process that's moving through this, right? And this meat computer is our barrier to the next step. You know, if you look at what our brain does at night when you go into your subconscious dreams, it shuts off.
Yep.
So that you can't read it. What if you're going in every night to build your afterlife? What you learn that day, you're adding into the code. Why would you have to upload every night? How do you hold all this stuff? Right? It's because you're uploading it into the consciousness field, and you are becoming what God knows about kindness, what God knows about cruelty, what God knows about this, what God knows about this mug. And he is that mug, because the only way you can know everything is to be it. I can make it as a God, the version of God that doesn't know he's God, and so is everybody else. But the way I would, if I was God and I wanted to know about this mug, I would first get God to make it out of God.
Yes.
And so now I know everything externally about this mug. And because God is this mug, God knows what it's like to be the mug.
Right. And
That's
God
everything.
will, and in this version of God will know what happens to that mug down the line, and will know what happens to every atom in that mug until the end of time.
It goes. And on it goes.
Everything is written.
People hear that and they think, oh, that's what is the point then? Well, the point is responsibility, not divinity. We are responsible for a code. You affect everyone around you in every bit of the day. This is what when I talk about like capitalism and all these terrible people out there.
Right.
This is why I speak of it the way I do. We don't need to defeat these people. We don't need to defeat capitalism. We don't need to defeat these right-wing nuts. These people are defeating themselves, right? What we need to do is to build things that are community. We need to build everything out of a net to catch us all.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is by, people always think, how would you do that? That's impossible. It's impossible. The system's all connected and it's a big trap. Well, yeah, you can look at it as a trap, but you can also look at it as you're already in it. You are a part of that node. You're a node in that system anyway.
Right.
And if you want to change the system, you got to change the node and what it's broadcasting. Right? Because the nodes that are near you hear you. And that's how you pass this. It's the seeing we need. We need seeing. We need this to, we need to be ourselves. We need to be out there. You need to say, when you say what's wrong with the system, you got to name the system so that the person beside you hears you say that and has the words for it. Because the seeing is only like one sentence long. But once you hear, oh, this job is destroying me because it's not my fault, it's a system that's broken, blah, 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 whatever you say, and somebody hears that, you put words to what they're feeling, and then they're going to say it. And then someone hears them. We can't change it all at once, but we can get on the wave.
No, exactly. You know? I think, in an entropy-based system, being creative, building things, looking at yourself, talking about yourself, talking about the systems around us and how we can, just improve things for ourselves. And as you say, like, talk to the guy next to you, put out a pod, write a book. And they're all creating something that, and that is an act of rebellion itself. To, against, I was just going to say all the people and the systems that try and pull us down. So, all of these things are just, we have to do. Like, it's an act of courage for us to look at ourselves and be ourselves, and then change the systems around us and the person standing next to us. You know, like, it's all effort and requires work. But
I mean, we have, and we also have to remember that you know, a lot of these right-wing nuts right now are not right-wing nuts. A lot of them are people that are just not thinking. Some of them are just people being idiots. But you see, when the seeing thing that I was talking about, when people know, when you start to do this, those people are on the fence over everything, right? They don't have a stance. They will join whatever's easiest for them, whatever's trendy. We have to remember how many of those people exist right now on the bad side, you know. And
because a lot of these people are in a way like us, in that we were just little kind of freaky people on the outside.
Yeah.
And someone comes up with a flat earth thing, say, and then you kind of like get into it, and you dig into it a little bit, and you kind of believe it, but you don't have to believe it, because if you say you do, then you've got an instant community
you're in
around you, and you're in. And then you have special knowledge that no one else has, and that elevates you and your community. That's it.
Here I go again. I'm going to say something that get me in trouble again. But here's like, I think we are looking at, okay, so one of the, like, what has happened, obviously, in just because of capitalism, and we've become categories, right? And the way to keep us divided is you take the two groups, okay? One of them is the angry white guys. I don't know why it's angry white guys, but it's always white guys. And then you take the oppressed people. Right now, it's like trans people, for instance. Right. And the right gets these group of people that don't fit in, the misfits on the right. They're probably a bunch of neurodiverse people who don't know it because it doesn't exist, and they don't know why it doesn't work, and it's not fair, and blah blah blah. They hate everything, and blah blah. They're angry, and but they still don't fit in. And then this right-wing government powerful billionaire group, it finds a way to manipulate them and accept them in as a group. Oh yeah, you're part of us now. Just hate these people. Okay, so now that spotlight of hate is shining down right on the trans community, right? Real trans people. I know a trans person. I had a trans friend in 1991, and I met plenty of trans people through her. So they are real. Okay, so the trans people have this spotlight on them now. Okay, and now there's the same group as those meatheads, the people that don't fit in, but on the left side of the people that are more misfits, that are broken by a system, that don't fit in the same way they do.
Yep.
They go, oh, that spotlight. They want attention, right? They want attention. Yep. They want community. And what does moving into that spotlight get them? They get them, one, because the trans community is a loving community. They get embraced by it.
Right.
And now they have their community they always wanted. And what else are they getting? Attention. And why would you ever want that to stop? So you're going to feed the fire with the most extreme trans material, which is going to ignite the right people that don't fit in. Yep. And they're going to shine the spotlight more. And that's what we're watching. We're watching these two groups of people that don't fit in anywhere, just want to fit in, and they've gotten their little homes. So yes, there are people pretending to be trans, but that doesn't mean there's no trans people. Both things can be true. Because people pretend to be all kinds of things. I used to pretend to be black when I was a kid because I hung around all black kids. I wanted to fit in. That's what people do. So yes, there are people pretending to be trans, and this goes, like, we look at like masking, for instance, like, and when we talk about autism and ADHD and what masking is, you know, I also get in trouble for this too, believe it or not. I don't look at a mask as a thing I have to get rid of, you know, because it's how I navigate the world.
Yeah.
Are there bad masks? Yeah.
Yeah.
But neurotypical people, don't they have bad personality traits they got to get rid of?
Absolutely.
I now call, this is cute. People like this too. You ready for this, Martin? I call masks now purposeful personalities.
Oh, you know what? I call it something else, which is it was like conscious. Or it sounds like conscious decoupling. It was like because as you say, these masks, right? once you know you do it and you have them all, you can go, oh, hang on a second. It takes a lot of effort to kind of like wear these masks all the time. I don't have to. But some of these masks work for me, and I can consciously put a mask on and be a certain person. And I know that it's going to, sap some energy from me, but it serves a purpose that I will get something out of the end of it. I can then take the mask off, and it's a tool in my toolbox, which is useful.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it in the way that this goes right back to the recursion idea, right? And if you look at it, how I was talking about how we do things, we build our personalities exactly the same way, right? We try them on, adjust, we fix, it's the same thing as a personality and a typical person, right? It's just that they build it. Their code is sequential, so it fits the system we're in, so they don't have to put them on. They just are on. But if you look, people talk on the phones, hey, have a wonderful day. Nobody says that in real life. That's a mask. When you go to your family's house, you're a slightly different version of you. People do that no matter who they are. We are just engineering our personalities. We're putting them on to fit us because that's how we do everything. Right. We don't take it as just value. We have to look at it. We have to analyze what it's doing. What is this right? The smile doesn't look right for me. This facial expression it's not me. So I got to adjust it. Oh, that's a little better. I'll do that with my eyes instead. It's still, you can find the natural version of that doesn't cost you the extra energy. My version is more like me, just slightly turned down. You know what I mean? It's not different. I don't hide any of my weirdness anymore. I'm okay with that. It's not because I was masking that. It's because I'm okay with it. You're allowed to see it. I'm allow people to see how wacky I am. I don't care.
Right. Because it's because you just put more energy into different facets of yourself, and sometimes they just amplify out, and then they die back down again.
We develop these things because our natural state is too much. It's turned up too high. It's too elevated. And that's, again, not us. It's because our surroundings, our environment is too much for us. The stimulation that we're getting from it is making us a little more, we're always a little closer to the edge.
Lights, which was the first thing when we were born. God damn it.
Yeah. That gets into your brain. This is not where we have an option. We can use this shit, or we can continue to want accommodations. And that's, the days of accommodations are over. What we need is to build divergent by design.
Right.
We have to make the place for us.
Right.
And that doesn't mean putting us into a system. It means creating a co-system that operates alongside this system. It's not, you can't put it in here. It doesn't work in here. It's like putting socialism and capitalism. It doesn't work. They're different. You need one that is here running code. Like, let's look at what a pilot project of this, I call it NBADT, a neurodivergent business adaptation and development team. If you look at what small businesses right now are dying from, right? And if you look at everyone is struggling. It's not good out there. It's terrible. The economy is crashing. It's very bad. They are suffering. These businesses are suffering from the exact thing that our minds are made for, to adapt. They need to adapt, and they can't. We have streets full of people, homeless people, people in bars with addiction problems, all thrown to the side with that exact skill in their head.
Yep.
And they've been sitting on the street their whole lives, and they've had to learn how to adapt to every situation every single day. I was there. I was a homeless alcoholic, and I lived this. I understand that people think you're crazy when you say pattern recognition is real, but it's not. I just have hyperactive threat detection. I
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to see more processes because I've had more options. I've used more options to get out of trouble, to adapt, to get my next fix, whatever it is every day. We have people trained in this already on the street. What we need, we have no problem cleaning them up. We can get them out of this. That's easy. But what we do after we clean them up, we throw them back into the hole.
Right.
That's not going to help. If we clean them up and then give them a purpose, they work outside of the system. They can work with small business without being underneath them. We are a privately hierarchy-free workspace. We're full of just 5 or 6 neurodivergents that operate in different communities, and we go into businesses, we work within them, not with them, but as a collaborator.
Right.
And we tell them, like, we give them reports to say, because your hypersensitive eyes, your hypersensitive ears, those make you a customer experience expert.
Yeah.
We don't think of it that way, but you know how beautiful, if you gave me a way to set up your lighting in a grocery store, I would make that grocery store so comfortable, so calm. People would want to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Of all kinds of people, not just neurodivergent. You build for the one. Look at like curb cuts. They were for disabled people. Delivery drivers use them. Strollers, bikes. Everybody uses them. Yep. If you build for the most sensitive person in the room fits everyone better.
Right. Yeah, and it's that thing. So like looking at everyone, at the community as a whole, and then adapting the environment has benefits for everyone. And I think that's like, if I'm going to kind of wrap up, I think that's what your book is really about. It feels to me like it points to all of these things and how we think and how we look at the society that we're in, and asks a lot of questions and kind of starts to talk about ways of thinking. This was,
if anything, I wrote this book for people who want to think about themselves, and that process is healing, right? And I've given this book to a number of friends of mine who went through a lot of the same struggles that I did in my life, and the feedback has been that it's helped them incredibly. And I never sought out to make a self-help book because I'm not that kind of person, but I instead made a help yourself book, and that's what it's meant to do. It's not. I'm not going to ever tell anyone how to think. I'm going to please beg you to think.
So where can we get this book and indeed your other books?
All of my books are available on Amazon. I had to go with the monster because I'm poor, but it gets my words out, and that's what's important to me. They're available on Amazon. You can. I also have free EPUB digital copies available in the link in my bio and any of my socials. Because I don't believe there should be barriers to books. I think we should. And if you don't, it's a pay what you can link. If you don't have any money, I don't want your money. That's not who I am. I want you to read this. I want you to get something from it. I want you to spread love, and I want you to spread this message of like unity and how we can fix this. Because my goal is to save the world, Martin. I mean, it always has a
small goal.
It's tiny, but I mean, maybe I can't. But I think we could.
Right.
Right.
So, if you send me the link, I will make sure that it's in the show notes people can click on.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That was a very, very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it. I have the book. I didn't read all of it, but I kind of like I ADHD sped read it.
I have a question for you, because the format I designed it for our type of minds, right? Because I'm not a reader. I don't read physical books. I can't. But I put, you notice it's blocked in space. There's a lot of white space on the page, right?
Right.
And that's not something to fill in. That's just somewhere for you to stop, and it's point. So you remember it. You remember what you're reading, right?
Yes. No. I think, I really enjoyed going through that, and and how you kind of like start to talk about systems and your personal story. So kind of like really just adding some emotional weight to it, some personal storytelling. I thought it was really powerful, and anyone who has got beyond the whole here's 5 hacks for ADHD and have graduated.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have, to be honest. We are past that.
Mm-hmm.
And we want some meat to the bone. Let's think more.
That was my
deeply.
goal. Let's call it what. Let's just at least start calling it what it is. Because if we got to label it correctly before we can learn about it, right?
Exactly.
If people really like their labels, I mean, we got to label it correctly, at least, the very least.
All right, exactly. Well, thank you for being here. It's a shame that Paul wasn't here. He I will tell him to make sure that he checks it out. But that'll be it from me. So it leaves me to say that ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and rate us most intellectually stimulating. Why not? And feel free to correspond at will in the comments. But wait, there's more. If you wish to see our beautiful, beautiful faces and Willy's beautiful, beautiful face, feel free to sally forth to the YouTubes and the TikToks. Willy Dubs is definitely on the TikToks. And you can also pick up a quill and email us at ADHDville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself. And once again, thank you for being on the pod.
Oh, my pleasure, Martin. Always fun.
There, says the mayor. That's that.